Hello, welcome to this tutorial. I'm going to encrypt the etcd key value store to help protect secrets, routes, config maps, and tokens. And then I'm going to back up that etcd key value store as well using one of the manager nodes. You only need to use one node to do it because it's a shared key value store across the manager nodes, so there's no need to access all of them in order to do it. Once you encrypt the etcd key value store, you are also able to unencrypt it. So don't think for a second that it's permanent. It's also kind of low overhead to do it. So we're going to go ahead and run through that now. It's also pretty simple. We just need to add a couple of strings to our API server. It's going to use the AES-CBC encryption, which is essentially just a 32-bit key for the encryption. And so let's go ahead and jump into that as our first step, and then we'll verify that it's encrypted, and then we'll access it and do a backup. All right, so OC get nodes, make sure I'm connected. I am, clear, and we'll just do OC edit API server, one word, like that. And then come down here to our specification here, whoops, add a line and say encryption, encryption. That type, whoa. All right, and then what did I say it was? AES-CBC, AES-CBC, I think that's it, yeah, that's the type. And write that off, there we go. So now that's really all we have to do as far as getting it set. There is a string here that can check the status of it, so we'll paste that in. And it says encryption is disabled, encryption is not enabled. All right, so that's the current step. That does take a second to run, OC get CO, and it hasn't kicked off yet. But it will take a minute to get that started. And once its encryption has been completed, then it'll say encryption complete. All right, let's just check that status again. In progress. So now we can see the encryption is in progress. It shouldn't take too long, but I'm gonna just go ahead and pause, and then we'll come back when it's completed. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Let's give it a check. Here, there we go. Encryption completed. So that's all it was. Just pretty easy. Just edit the API server. Now, if you want to take it back from encryption to unencrypted, you would essentially just go back to edit API server, and then here where you've put in AES-CBC, you just put in identity. And then that just assumes the default the default unencrypted etcd key value store, and then just watch it again. I'll leave the string in the comments or the description below, and I'll also leave a couple of links to the documentation on both encrypting and backing up. All right, so this at least got us to encrypt our key value store. So that's the first step. All right, second thing is to do a backup of our etcd. So let's go ahead and proceed with that. We'll go to debug mode, so OC debug node, and then node name, master 0. And when it comes up, we'll chroot this to host. Chroot host. There we go. And then if you look under user local bin, you'll see this cluster backup and cluster restore. So we're going to run this cluster backup to back up our database. So user local bin cluster backup, and then put it someplace. Let's say home core. You can even give it a directory if you wanted. etcd backup. And it should create 2 files there. So we'll go to home core and go into etcd backup, and you'll see the 2 files. So here's your key value store, and then this is the this is an important file. It actually contains encryption keys. So you want to make sure that once the backup's complete, you transfer these off of your node someplace safe. And you might be able to automate this. We use something like Ansible or whatever. Do the backup and then export that backup offsite. Maybe mount a disk to it that you store the value to, and then remove the mount point later on is a good option to do that. All right, so that's it. We've encrypted the database, and we've officially done our first etcd backup. That's all there is to it. Thanks a lot.